On the 24th of September, 1988, a jogger found the body of 19-year-old Tony Clan floating in Doan Creek near Cleveland, Ohio. His throat had been slit, and he had 3 large stab wounds in his chest. 3 landscapers who knew the victim were arrested for the crime, and during interrogation, one of the suspects accepted a plea bargain. He testified that the other 2 men, including Joe D'Ambrosio, had kidnapped the victim and driven to the creek before cutting his throat and then stabbing him in the water. Joe was sentenced to death for the crime, even though the testimony against him was riddled with inconsistencies. The date and location of the murder were disputed, and no physical evidence could be found at the supposed crime scene. Joe spent over 20 years on death row before a priest helped him get legal representation. Eventually, his conviction was overturned, and he was released, with all charges dismissed on the 5th of March, 2010.
I was on death row for 22 years. I was locked up for 24 years. The Berlin Wall came down. The World Trade Center happened. I lost my sister, my mom, many aunts and uncles, cousins. A lot of them died off when I was in. My sister came down with leukemia, my oldest sister, and we wanted to see if I was going to be a bone marrow match. So I wrote the prison asking if we could do this. They wrote me back and said, "You're a dead man." No. In my eyes, the state murdered her. By putting me on death row for a crime I didn't commit, I couldn't save my sister's life, and she died at the age of 49. 80% of the stuff that freed me was in 3 files: the prosecutor's files, the coroner's file, and the police file. It was there all along. They had it in 1988 when I was going to trial. If they would have given us that, I never would have been convicted. And that's exactly what the federal judge said. She said, "Mr. D'Ambrosio, you are free." And with that, she banged her gavel, and I got to walk out. I'm back in my hometown. So many things are different. There's not that many people that's left from when I was here. They've all moved on. They've had, got married, had families, and moved away, bought houses someplace else. When I first got out, my nephew was running a coffee shop. He was trying to have a fundraiser for me, so I invited my whole family. Well, who's left of my family? Not a single one showed. So in my mind, since they left me there to die anyhow, I have nothing to do with my family. The way that this has affected my future is in every aspect that you can think of. Everything. Getting a house, getting credit, trying to find somebody to spend the rest of my life with. Plus, I've lost the ability to have a kid. I'm 51. About 10 years ago, Social Security sent me a notice saying, if you were to retire right now, we'll give you a grand total of, get this, $36 a month, because I haven't paid into Social Security for 24 years. So I have no retirement money whatsoever, so I'll have to work until I die. I want to do something besides maintenance work for the rest of my life, because I make it from paycheck to paycheck. I drive a 97 Ford Ranger that was stripped down, but the older you get, the harder it is to learn. Everything is computer-based, and I'm still trying to learn. I'm like an infant. Technology went on so fast in those 24 years, it was ridiculous. I was watching a PBS show, and they say the memory that's in a cell phone nowadays is the same amount of memory that was in the rocket ship they shot to the moon with Neil Armstrong. And it's like, really? How could they take something that was in a rocket ship and now is got the same amount in this little itty bitty cell phone? I was locked up for 8,170 days. 8,170 days. That's decades. My revenge will come within the court system. We filed 2 lawsuits, a state lawsuit and a federal lawsuit, but no amount of money will ever give me back what they stole from me. None. Every little minute aspect of my life has been altered by this, and not for the good. I'll be running from this for the rest of my life, and it'll always chase me. And there's nothing I can do about it.